We can still see at the moment that there's quite a large gap between fixing 1 year and taking yourself out to fixing 3, 4, 5 years. But all of us economists are expecting that monetary policy will tighten in New Zealand. Well, hello again, everybody. What I'm doing a lot at the moment is talking with people about interest rates, where they're likely to go, what they've done over the past few years, monetary policy tightening, these sort of things. And so what I thought I'd run through today was how the different alternatives have gone since the end of the global financial crisis in 2009 and where I see things as going in the future. Now, if you've been running a simple rolling 12-month, 1 year fixed mortgage rate since late 2009, on average, your cost has been about 4.8% per annum. If instead you got into a 2 year and then you rolled 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, etc., the average cost over that period of time was 5.1%. And then for 3, 4, 5 years, it goes to 5.7 and then 6.5, 6.5%. In other words, if you'd gone into the 5-year fixed mortgage rate over this period of time since 2009, your average interest rate was about 6.5% versus about 4.8% for 1 year fixing. So 1 year fixing has worked out pretty well for people over the past 12 or so years. Now, what about going forward? We can still see at the moment that there's quite a large gap between fixing 1 year and taking yourself out to fixing 3, 4, 5 years. But all of us economists are expecting that monetary policy will tighten in New Zealand. I think our Reserve Bank may push interest rates up by 2 to 2.5%, starting, I guess, in the first half of next year is the popular pick now. So you should be counting on something like 2 to 2.5% going on top of the current 1 year fixed mortgage rate. And so I've calculated what the average cost would be if you roll the 1 year fixed rate from the moment for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, etc. And for 2 years, you're looking at about 2.5%. For 3 years, about 2.8%. 4 years, 3.2%. And 5 years, 3.4%. And if you look at the 5 years at 3.4, of course, it's less than the common 5-year fixed mortgage rate at the moment of 3.69%. So for most people, simply rolling 1 year fixed is pretty much what you're going to be left with now, because we've seen such a strong increase in those medium to long-term fixed mortgage rates over the past few months. However, there are two dangers here. Number one, central banks and most of us economists are assuming most of the inflationary pressures we see at the moment are temporary, that interest rates won't have to rise all that much. We could easily be wrong, and there could be an interest rate surprise maybe 18 to 24 months down the track. Maybe more importantly, we will reach a point where the 1 year fixed mortgage rate is going to be above the 3 to 5 year fixed mortgage rates. And when that happens, just be very, very careful. You might go, I'm going to save money by fixing for 5 years at, let's say, 4.2% instead of rolling another 1 year at 4.8% or something like that. If that's the case, just realize if the yield curve is downward sloping, short-term rates are higher than long-term rates, it pretty much signals that all of the interest rates are going to be falling in the near future. So just be very careful you don't panic at some point over the next 2-3 years and lock in a long-term interest rate, which you wouldn't touch for the moment with a barge pole. But if you're going to stand strong, 1 year fixed will probably suit most people. For me personally, if I were borrowing at the moment, I would probably spread my risk with some 1 year, 3 year, and maybe a little bit of 5 year fixed interest rate hedging still in place. But by all means, talk to your mortgage advisor. They're going to be able to give you the best suggestions there for your personal circumstances. All the best.